Okay, it is 6 p.m. on Wednesday, September 4th, 2024, for September's regular city council meeting. We have everybody here at the dais with the exception of Brian Reyes. He is home ill and didn't want to, not feeling well, and obviously didn't want to come here and possibly be contagious, so an excused absence for him. And if you'll rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 3, citizen comment period. Michelle, did anybody sign up? All right, Tony Frasco. Welcome. Always a pleasure. You know the drill, Tony. And for everybody's just reminding you, we can't comment on what people say, but we're taking notes. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Nancy.
The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I came here specifically for one reason. Nancy's retiring, and I can't get a hold of her, so I figured this is the only place I can get her. I thank you all for doing a great job for the city. I really appreciate it. I know you take a lot of grief, but I appreciate it. But I want to thank Nancy Kane for all her dedication. She's one in a million. I know certain people have bad mouths, but not in my book. She's one terrific person, and she's going to be a hard act to follow. So, with your permission, I'd like to give her something. Thank you. Okay, I'll call it quits. Thank you very much again.
Thank you, Tony. Cindy Segovia. It's been a while. It's good to see you.
It's nice to be here. Thank you very much. Cindy Segovia, 8435 Twisted Oaks. I just had a couple of suggestions. I actually have 100 of them, but I'll go with 2. One, I know that the garbage may be going up, which I think is kind of crazy, in my personal opinion. I think one day a week is something that maybe we could consider. I think it might be enough, and maybe y'all are already considering that to keep the costs down, and also a little bit with the pollution and trucks in the streets. I think that helps too. My other suggestion, which would take care of the rest of mine, is to go back to having a weekly open session with your citizens. We used to have coffee with the mayor. Maybe we have coffee with the council. We're on a regular day, every Thursday, every Tuesday, that we have regular 2-hour sessions where it's open and people can just come in, have questions that can be answered, make suggestions, maybe tell you about potholes that are out there that, you know, might cost us an arm and a leg in a lawsuit later, or, you know, just have different ideas that could be helpful. And you can also solicit volunteers that way and things like that. So just a suggestion, and thank you all. Thank you, Nancy. Y'all take care.
Thank you, Cindy. Dawn. Floor is yours, ma'am.
Dawn Hatch, 8377 Twisted Oaks. I've watched P&Z and council meetings the last year. I've noticed there's difficulty balancing developments that residents don't want and the reality of the illegal use of the land. Past 2 years, 2 lawsuits have been filed against the city for abuse of discretion from a resident building a pool, and Mr. Fisher sued the city to give him a special use permit for food trucks. Lawsuits cost us money. It's wrong to base decisions on false information from P&Z, false information from citizens, and your personal biases. It's about following the law. Permits should have been granted for food trucks. Fisher did everything by law to get a permit, yet P&Z and council voted no, so he sued the city, and he'll get his food trucks and his lawyer fees paid for. Silvis Group recommended that P&Z and council attend training sessions to help them make informed and correct decisions based upon the law. I encourage you to look into that recommendation. With regards to fighting the quarry, not 1 cent budgeted for anything to do with fighting quarry expansion. Hanson gave the land city offices sit on. They donate mulch, boulders for the gardens outside, sponsor recap, and more. It's in our best interest to have a good relationship with them. City has no authority over quarry expansion. People living here have filed lawsuits against Hanson, and the people lost. Cities have filed lawsuits against Hanson, and the cities have lost. Better course of action is to work on changing laws and work with the quarry. Mayor said we have an outstanding working relationship with Hanson. We get revenue from them, and we're happy to be their neighbors. Why do you dislike the quarry now and make them the enemy? They are the lowest priority according to the master plan. In closing, I think the city has gotten off track with what their duties and responsibilities are in a lot of areas. People think a city is responsible for their, quote, quality of life. I don't think that. I make my own quality of life by my social status, my wealth, my freedom, my decision-making, the amount of sleep I get, my healthy relationships, my physical activity, to name a few. The number 1 priority should be lessening restrictions for development to bring in tax revenue for the future, knowledge of the law when making decisions to keep city out of lawsuits, better advice from city attorneys to keep us out of lawsuits, and better city fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Okay, that's all we have signed up for citizen comment period, so we'll move on to item number 4, consent agenda. These items may be acted upon in a single motion. No separate discussion or action on these items will be held unless requested by a council member. Public comment on these items may be heard during citizens' participation. However, that does not mean the item will be considered outside the consent agenda. Council, does anybody have anything they want to pull from this month's consent agenda? Okay, if there's nothing to pull, can I get a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
We have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda passes. On to item number 5, staff reports. 5A, City Manager Monthly Activity Report. Nancy Kane, ma'am, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The Garden Ridge Police Department received a thank you from Robert and Lou Simmons for looking after their home while they were on vacation. Thanks for all you do for our community. Then Joe Maloney, a resident here in the city, sent a letter of appreciation and wanted his appreciation passed on to Dwayne Scognio, Utilities Foreman, Stephen Steinmetz, our Public Works Director, and Stephen's team that mowed the cul-de-sac islands and Garden Ridge Estates. He further says that the Water Department and Public Works Department work very hard to keep our city looking beautiful and help preserve the city's excellent reputation. Thank them for a job well done. Okay, we have a couple of employee anniversaries for the month of September. The first one is Jill Wollenson. She's our police administrative assistant for 6 years. And Sergeant Keith Osborne, he's been here 8 years. Thank y'all for your service to the city. There were 180 volunteer hours during the month of August. 120 of those were in the library. Bill stuffing was 6 hours, and Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association had 54 hours, totaling the 180 hours. I just have a few things to add to my report. There will not be a first Friday in September. However, there will be one on October 4th at Paul Davis Park. And Cindy is going to elaborate more on that in the city secretary's report, what will be occurring at that first Friday. Community center upgrades, which include painting and staining of the concrete floors, has begun. Painting began yesterday. I understand it looks really nice. And the concrete floor staining will begin on the 23rd of this month, and all of it will be completed by the end of our fiscal year. The events committee has been meeting. We have everything lined out for Trunk or Treat, which will occur on Halloween, October 31st. More information will be coming out about that event. And we are working on planning for our Christmas lighting event on the first Friday in December. And we have a problem with overhanging trees overhanging our roadways that are below 15 feet. It becomes a problem for emergency vehicles, trucks that are making deliveries to residences, school buses, things of that nature. So we are going to be pushing out some social media information, asking our residents to please trim their trees to 15 feet over the roadway. And I think Chief was going to talk a little bit more about that this evening. And that is all I have for my report.
Thank you, Nancy. Council, anything for Nancy Kane? Okay. Awesome. Moving on to 5B, Finance and HR Monthly Activity Report. Robin, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you. I don't have very much to report. We are in our last month of the fiscal year, so we will be getting our new 2025 budget installed by the end of this month, so we're ready to start our new year. Happy New Year, October 1st. We do have one utility operator position that we are still looking for that right candidate for. We are looking at maybe posting, widening our posting to some more specialized, like water utility associations, things like that, and getting some more like specialized, looking at where we can post the job to those kind of sites and get some more candidates for that position. That's all I have.
Budget season's almost done.
Yeah.
All right. Council, anything for Robin? All right, thank you, Robin. Moving on to C, City Secretary Monthly Activity Report. Cindy.
Right. Okay, I have attended my first seminar towards my certification, the Texas Registered Municipal Clerk certification. I've passed 2 more exams. I've got 1 more exam, and then I have an additional series of seminars to attend to complete that certification. The October 1st Friday is shaping up nicely. We're going to have a haunted house and spaghetti by the troop, Boy Scout troop again, and other activities. So we are looking forward to that.
Thanks so much, Cindy. And we have the band, Low Place Legends, is that their name? Yes. So Andy and company will be there. And Cindy has already made what do we call the thing that you made? A photo op where like a Frankenstein and a witch that the kids can put their heads in and take pictures. So that's great. It's going to be an awesome First Friday. I expect a big crowd, hopefully. So anything for Cindy? Great. We'll keep moving on to 5D, Police Department. Chief, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. There we go. So everything I've got to talk about pretty much is in my report. I do want to elaborate a little bit. We do have National Night Out coming, so that will be October 1st. We are doing it different this year, as we've talked about in the past. We're not doing it at the park or the community center. We're encouraging the block parties and the neighborhood parties, what it was meant for, to get out and meet your neighbors. So at this point, we do have 3 verified either neighborhood or block parties that have contacted us and scheduled those. So we will be making the rounds to those. We're still trying to get some more involved and some more confirmed on the book. So if anybody's interested, they can contact us. We'll give them information. All it is trying to get everybody out, meet their neighbors, which is what it's all about, so you can keep an eye on each other and get to know each other and have a conversation once in a while instead of not knowing anybody that lives around you. So hopefully that'll be a good success this year. And a little contest going with that. It'll be a picture contest, photo op contest. They have to have an officer present in order to work in that, and we will be making the rounds. I wanted to elaborate also a little bit on what Ms. Kane was saying about the trees. So we do have a big issue with trees. We did this several years back, got everything corrected, hasn't been maintained. We have trees that are hanging down when it rains that are hitting patrol cars and tops of pickup trucks. I had a conversation with the fire chief recently, and he was saying that there are some streets that are causing issues for the big fire trucks and damage to the trucks as well. So we do really need to get that word out. Cindy's helping us, and Ms. Kane and I, we're all working together to get that information out and let everybody know from curb line to curb line, those trees have to be 15 feet up so that we don't damage the emergency apparatus. So we ask for everybody's help on that and get it all done by the end of November. Because once the end of November comes around, come December, we're going to start going around and having conversations from the police department side and warnings being issued for getting this corrected. And we chose this time of year since it is legal to trim oaks, get them done, and everybody can do that without having to worry about variances and contacting anybody. So we're asking for everybody to step that up and take care of that on their own. That's all I've got, sir.
Thank you, Chief. Council, anything for our Chief of Police?
Just want to let you, Linda's working on trying to get something for our block, so she's.
Oh, good.
Generate some interest there.
Good, we'll have another one, or get a big George Ranch one going at the park, or,
Yeah.
something. We'll be there. You build it, we will come.
Thanks, Jesse. Moving on to E, Public Works Department, monthly activity report. Stephen, sir, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. For the month of August, we removed 12 pounds of trash from the roadway, recorded 0.44 inches of rain at our Public Works yard, repaired some water leaks at the park, ball field, installed a Paul Davis Park fan thermostat for the bathrooms for whenever it gets over 100 degrees in the summer, that'll automatically come on and let some of the heat out of there. Eric attended a stormwater recertification class and snake class, and some of the public works and water guys attended a first aid class and a CPS energy class over at the fire department. Here it says we have currently 4 dogs ready for adoption, but we also transferred just the other day, yesterday, I believe, 3 or 4 of them, so we only have 2 dogs left as of now, ready for adoption. And that's all I have for Public Works.
Council, anything for Stephen on Public Works? Okay, you can keep going with utilities.
Okay. For the month of August, we pumped 44.61 acre feet out of the Edwards with a year-to-date total of 214.07. Available 287.59 acre feet. Edwards is in stage 4 restrictions. Possibly with a recent rain, it'll probably drop back down to 3. And then if it doesn't rain for a couple of days, it'll probably jump back to 4 again. Trinity, we pumped 59.67 acre feet with a year-to-date total 334.72 acre feet. All samples for the month passed. Water loss was 1%. Work orders was 247. Locates 70 locates. Total portal customers 852. Meter daily readability percentages was 99.59% for 1,659 meters. No main breaks reported. One new leak request adjustment submitted. That's all I have for utilities.
Thank you, Stephen. Council, anything for Stephen regarding water? Jesse?
Yeah, just, it's 6 months in a row that y'all have been real good on unaccountable unsold. That's really great. No leaks in the city. It's spectacular, and continue to do a great job on the pumping, allowment. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Jesse. Council, anything else? We'll let you guys know, myself, Jesse, Nancy, Jim Mueller, chairman of the Water Commission, as well as Stephen, had a discussion over email about the Edwards going up into stage 4. At this time, we don't see a need to raise our restrictions from stage 2, even though we've been in it for 2 years, to anything higher for a number of reasons. Number one is that our residents have been extremely good with stage 2 restrictions, and you can tell that by our account balance, our reserves in for our water fund, as well as just driving around looking at yards that aren't green. So, and then coupled with our ability to pull out of the Trinity, as well as Stephen and Dwayne have done a marvelous job of managing what we can pull out of the Edwards Aquifer, so we can zero that out by the end of the year. Jesse, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I was going to add that, looking over water consumption over the last 4 years, 70% of water consumption is below 20,000 gallons. So small usage above 20,000, so I think that says a lot. And actually, that's in the city limits. Outside the city limits is more like 90%. So I think our residents are applying real well.
Thank you so much, Jesse. Great point. Okay, moving on to 5F, the library monthly activity report. Wendy, it's great to see you.
Hi.
Floor
Good
is
evening.
yours, ma'am.
Let's see. Miss Linda's on a well-deserved vacation, so I'm filling in for her today. The libraries had an amazing summer, and during the month of August, we ended our summer reading program with a interactive movie night, and we had lots of prizes that we gave away. We've also started getting ready for all of our fall weekly programs that begin all next week. We've also started preparing for our special events like our Trunk or Treat and also our Veterans Day. And we did some rearranging and a little sprucing up, and we're just ready for another great month. So, thank you.
Thanks so much, Wendy. Great job filling in. Council, anything for Wendy? Outstanding. Thanks again. Moving on to item number 6, city engineer project status reports. Hank? Always good to see you.
Good to see you. Good evening.
Floor
all.
is yours.
I have a few updates since the board packet on the FM 2252 TxDOT project. The first domino has fallen. The Spectrum Charter has removed their comms off the pole next to GVTC, which we anticipate later this week or early next week. So keeping apprised of that. The utility coordinator is doing a good job of staying on top of them. It's just scheduling and getting them to get out there. CenterPoint has also submitted their revised design to TxDOT for review. So once they get that approved, we can finally get them scheduled and figure out when we're going to be able to get back there. I'm just still in this waiting period to figure out when all these pieces are going to fall. I also wanted to provide a little more context to the miscellaneous engineering services, we have, the first one on here is 3009 FM 2252 intersection truck traffic reduction evaluation. That's basically taking a look at the truck traffic at that intersection, looking at ideas on how we can reduce, as well as increase the safety along the Old Nacogdoches Road corridor. Still investigating that. There might be some more coming up soon, but I'm working with Councilmember Swint and Nancy to get to the bottom of something there. The Waterwood Drive fire lane exhibit is, basically it was just a exhibit on the fire striping in front of the club at Garden Ridge, so we knocked that out. We also are working towards a overall condition index evaluation checklist, which is basically just a pavement condition rating system is what we're working towards. So we're putting together a rubric and scoring guidelines so that we can find potholes and rutting and kind of help aid in a roadway maintenance plan on identifying the worst locations and tackling those first. So that's all I have, and open for any questions.
Thanks, Hank. It's great to hear that the first domino has fallen and we can keep moving. Council, anything else for Hank? All right, thanks so much.
Thank
Great
you.
job. All right, we'll move on to item number 7, City Commission and Committee Reports, Recommendations, Possible Actions. 7A1, Planning and Zoning Commission, an amendment to the City of Gardner Ridge zoning ordinance, ordinance number 13-03-2023, section 2.04.02, Natural Features Overlay District, and section 2.06.15, Development in the Natural Features Overlay District related to the boundaries and location of the district, development within the district, and other matters in connection therewith. And next, we want to receive a recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission Chair as the, Karim, as the Chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
And we're ready to
Mayor,
hear your
Council.
recommendation.
Yes, Planning and Zoning met last month in September, and, in July, I apologize. I'm already thinking of our, and so regarding the amendment for the NFO, our recommendation is we approved the amendment to the zoning, to the NFO zoning district, overlay district, and it was passed 4-2. And the only comment or to the motion that was added was that the evergreen trees shall also be native to Texas. That was kind of the wording that was added to the recommendation for the NFO. Just it's a small wording, just making sure that the evergreen is native to Texas and not be a more of a broad sense of because an evergreen covers a lot of different types of trees, and wanted just to state that it was to be native to Texas. So that was Planning and Zoning's recommendation to council.
Okay, thank you, Karim. Council, before we open the public hearing, any questions for Karim at all? Okay. Karim, we may have you back up here in a little bit, but I'll open up the public hearing.
Thank you.
7.A.1.2, hold a public hearing. Public hearing is opened at 6:29 PM. You're not required to have signed up to speak, but if you do, please sign in with the city secretary after speaking. You're limited to one 3-minute period. Please state your name and address before your comments begin. After all verbal comments conclude, we will see if there are any written comments that were submitted. So, does anybody wish to come up and speak regarding the Natural Features Overlay District and the amendment proposed from Planning and Zoning? Okay. Cindy, do we have any written comments? Okay. So with no spoken or written comments, the public hearing is closed at 6:29. And we go to 1.3, discuss and take action. Jesse, do you want to introduce this?
Sure. It's hard to believe it's been actually a year since I brought this up to council, September of 2023. When I brought the idea up to look at National Features Overlay District and see about how we apply it to properties along 3009 and 2252. First thing needed to be done was to look at the ordinance, and as a result, we found some things that need to be changed to make it more reasonable, more, appealing to developers. Now, there were some things in there originally that really made it hard and it wasn't not really additive. One thing, the second part of this is part one is to do the ordinance. Second part will be to have the city develop an ordinance to actually apply this overlay district to all those properties with provisions. Of course, there's grandfathered for those that are master land, those that have approved master development plans, and those that are already developed already will be grandfathered, obviously. Unless they make a change to the development or change to their properties. But one thing I was going to point out was, so thanks to the technical committee that worked on this, worked on it for quite a while with Bryce. Unfortunately, Bryce is no longer with the firm, but he did a great job in walking through the technical committee and also P&Z. I think it was at the May meeting where this was presented to P&Z, and at that time, P&Z agreed with the ordinance change. And then come last month, in August, there was a proposal to make that change, to add that wording concerning all evergreen trees shall be native to Texas. I don't feel that that's additive. I don't think a developer's gonna come in here and plant something that's not native to Texas, and something that's gonna die. So I don't think that sentence is additive, and I'll recommend that we remove it. I hope everybody else agrees with that, but I'll let the discussion go by everybody else, and I'll be happy to make the motion later.
Council, so to clarify, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended to us by majority vote that we add after evergreen that are native to Texas, which we didn't have when Bryce originally wrote it or helped us with it. And just backing up what Jesse just said. So any comments on that? Okay, Todd?
I'm going to have a brief comment, and maybe you can just clarify a little bit. Evergreen seems very specific to me. The non-native tree thing, though, if you think backwards in time, how did oak wilt get here? Non-native tree species. Got brought in from outside. Emerald ash borer up in Minnesota, where I'm from, got brought in by non-native species being brought in and planted by developers and people planting trees. So I don't know if we need to remove that. I don't know what the impact is. What was it, the thought just evergreens, or was it, trying to stay with native trees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really have any impact if we take it away or leave it, so just something to take into consideration, that we kind of want to stick with more native vegetation rather than having to battle oak wilt that, has cost us trees all through the region, and quite frankly, it's cost the city a lot of money to battle oak wilt.
When we first looked at ordinance 13, it was had in there sections on plants and trees, things like that, a real detailed section. But it's going to be too hard to maintain, and during the public hearing process, it was recommended to remove all that section out, so we took it all out. And nowhere else do we have anything, Nancy, as far as native to Texas, do we? Nancy, do you see any issues you're offhand with your experience?
My recommendation is that sentence be removed.
Okay.
No, it's not mentioned anywhere else in the ordinance, and I think it's just going to cause confusion for developers as they read the different types of landscaping, and why is it only here and not required in other areas?
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Jesse?
No.
Do we have a motion then?
Yes, sir. I make a motion to accept P&Z's recommendation to approve the revisions to ordinance 13, sections 2.04.02 and section 2.06.15 as presented, but with the provision to remove the sentence, "The evergreen tree shall be also native to Texas," from section 2.06.15, paragraph B1DI.
We have a motion to approve Planning and Zoning's recommendation to the city council with the exception of the wording, evergreens native to Texas, as Jesse just said. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes with the wording exception that Jesse talked about. Outstanding. Moving on. Karim, if you want to come back up. Thank you. Expiring terms for September 30th, 2024 of commissioners. 2.1, receive recommendation to reappoint Commissioner Yakman, Commissioner Diaz, and Commissioner Bates to serve another term with terms expiring September 30th, 2026. Karim?
Thank you. Both commissioners, Commissioner Diaz and Commissioner Bates, and myself have agreed to continue to serve. The Planning and Zoning did recommend our recommendations to continue to serve. So, thank you.
Thank you, Karim. Discuss and take action. Council, any discussions regarding this? Should be pretty straightforward.
Thank you for.
If they're willing to continue to volunteer, thanks so much. With that in mind, can I get a motion to approve the commission's recommendation to reappoint the commissioners mentioned?
I'll take it.
Move to approve the commission's recommendation to reappoint, would that be the proper terminology? Commissioner Diaz, Jackman, and Bates to another term expiring in September of 2026.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And congratulations and thank you for volunteering. Commissioner Jackman, Commissioner Diaz, and Commissioner Bates. Thanks for being willing to do all that. And you're still on for
Still,
the
yeah.
monthly activity report.
So our next meeting is canceled due to a lack of agenda items. So we'll be meeting in, we won't meet this month, we'll meet in October. No other items except for, we're still working on the walkability workshop study on some of the recommendations that we're still getting some input back from our city staff with Ms. Kane and the Chief of Police, Everhart. So we'll be, once we complete that report or recommendations, we'll come back to council and provide that update.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, anything else for Karim? Thanks so much. Good work. All right, moving on to B, Water Commission. Water rate structure, received recommendation from the Water Commission. Mr. Jim Mueller as the chair. Always a pleasure. Floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and council members. Good to see you all again. It seems like it's been a little while since I've been up here. For the water rate structure discussion, there's some stuff that's in your packet there. Page 31 has the options that were provided by the staff to the Water Commission. Page 32 shows the revenue estimates from those 5 different options that were available. And then page 33 shows the impact to the residents of Garden Ridge. That's in there. The commission went through a lot of this. We discussed this extensively at our meeting last month. We shared some concerns about decreasing revenue that we've had across the water department recently, and we've been in an extended drought, so that's good news, actually. And of course, the increasing costs are just a result of the inflation that we've had and some of the infrastructure development requirements that we've had here recently. Our infrastructure is in good shape, but it is aging a little bit, and we need to stay on top of it to make sure we keep providing this great service that we do to the residents of Garden Ridge. The main concern about that being the above-ground tanks, and I think y'all saw that in the budget, that there's one scheduled for renovation there with some money coming out of the general fund that'll have to be repaid there as a loan. And we expect the other one will require it won't be far behind. We'll need to go ahead and retrofit that one also. I know Stephen has a good plan for all of that as we move forward. Finally, on the bottom of page 32 there in your packet, it has the reserves that are along the bottom line there of our financials. Those reserves, you see they're around 6 months, plus or minus a little bit in there. That's a little low for this type of operation, but still within all the norms, but we want to go ahead and keep working on that, considering their just future requirements that we might have and sort of hedging for the future. Okay, with all of that, overall, I'll just try to sum it up here, then expect a question or two perhaps. But we looked at all of these, and after the long discussion that we had, we felt that option 4 provided a good balance between price stability and building that reserve for future costs. And ultimately, the commission unanimously recommends option 4 there for council action.
Thank you, Jim. Jesse, I know you have comments on this.
Well, very little. Great job, Jim. One point out to make is that it'll be 3 years actually by the time we put this in place since the last rate increase. So gone a long time, we made some changes. So we've gone 3 years with the current rate. So it's time to do something. And I support the recommendation.
Thank you, Jesse. Council, any other comments? Nancy, anything to add?
I've got questions.
Okay. Hang on a sec, Lisa. Go ahead.
Okay. I guess as far as reserves go, I'm a little more comfortable with less reserves. Can you talk a little bit about what we need, I mean, it's hard to know what we're planning in the future that we want to be saving money for. I know you and I have talked about capital improvement stuff.
Right, so like Jim mentioned, Stephen is doing 1 tank this year. We're gonna do another tank probably next year. There's some other things that Water Commission had talked about security, maybe some upgrades for security around especially Schoenthal.
Right.
And if we do go with the Vista Ridge tie-in, we're going to have to pay that loan back.
Right.
So that's going to be, money will come from the city, but we're going to have
We're gonna gotcha.
pay back to that, so that's got to come out of these funds also.
Okay.
So that's the kind of the current right now plan.
Okay.
But the other thing is that, we start, in this case, the rates won't start until November, so I'd be a month behind. So we'll lose 1 month of income for the fiscal year. But the other issue is that during the winter, we have less revenue
Right.
than expenses. So, we usually go with the first 4 to 5 months, pulling money out of the reserve to pay our bills. And then the money starts coming in early, mid-year next year, so the second half of the year. So so I was going to do a little bit more. I talked to Robin about doing kind of a month-by-month basis to track expenses and income and, and see how that is, so we can actually compare the reserves and what we need the reserves for, so.
That was a great question and a great answer. Thank you. Nancy, anything to add?
No, I think it's been thoroughly discussed.
Okay, well, with that in mind, can we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve Water Commission's recommendation to increase water rates $5 on the base rate and 1% on the tier rates.
We have a motion to approve the Water Commission's recommendation for water rates. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Jesse, for all of your hard work. Thank you, Water Commission and Jim, for everything you did. And Robin, thanks for everything you did. It's been a very busy few months for you, so outstanding. Jim, you're still on for recommendations for reappointment.
Thank you. So we have 2.1 there, the recommendation to reappoint Commissioner Pohl, Commissioner Stone, Commissioner Stedman, and Commissioner Dorsey to serve another term, and they'll be expiring on September 30th, 2026. All those commissioners enthusiastically volunteered to continue, at least that's how I remember the meeting. And the commission did recommend the reappointment of all 4 of those commissioners.
Thank you, Jim. Council, you know the drill. Any questions about the reappointment of Commissioner Pohl, Commissioner Stone, Commissioner Stedman, and Dorsey with another 2 years? They're willing to serve. We still have them.
Thank you for everybody wanting to serve again.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Can I get a motion to approve then?
I'll do all of them. Okay,
Somebody-
I'll do it. Make a motion to approve the recommendation from Water Commission to reappoint Commissioners Pohl, Stone, Stedman, and Dorsey to another term expiring September 30th, 2026.
We have a motion to approve the reappointment. Do we have a second?
Second.
Lisa, under the wire. Motion to approve in a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you so much. And you're still on for your activity report.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the only other thing I'd want to bring up, and this was a discussion at our last meeting, and it actually got brought up again tonight because it's been doing well, our unaccounted, unsold water that's been going on for 6 months now. When we talked about it earlier, it was 5 months. Pretty incredible, down to 1%. It just really, just want y'all to know that's really, really good numbers for a system like this. The national average, I think, is 12%. Is that right? 16%. So, and there was 1% last month. That's really incredible. It just shows to the great work that the water department here is doing in the city. So certainly pat all those guys on the back next time you see them. I just want to mention that, and that our next meeting is Tuesday, September 17th. And that's it, pending any questions.
Great job. Thanks so much, Council. Anything else for Jim Mueller? Thank you. All right, that concludes item number 7. On to item number 8, approvals and authorizations. The following items are for discussion, consideration, and action. 8A, 2024 tax rate. A1, review and discuss the 2024 tax rate proposal of $0.255156. Nancy, you have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor. In, believe it was our August 7th City Council meeting, the council had, was presented with 3 proposed tax rates. The City Council chose to propose adoption of the voter approval tax rate, which is a 3.5% increase over the no new revenue rate. That rate would be 0.255156. Of that rate, the M&O component is 0.193,423 cents, and the debt rate, it was 0.061733 cents. This adoption of, if the council does choose or does approve adoption of the voter approval rate, that will generate $2,037,731 in the general fund. Due to the M&O rate, and the debt rate will pay the debt that the city is obligated to pay during the fiscal year 25. Happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Council, any questions for Nancy? Okay. Thank you, Nancy. With that, we'll move on to 8A2, hold a public hearing. Public hearing for the tax rate is open at 6:49 p.m. Again, you're not required to sign up to speak, but if you do, please sign in with the city secretary after speaking, and you have 1 3-minute period. Any takers for coming up in the public hearing? Doesn't look like any takers. Cindy, did we have any written comments submitted? Okay, no written comments submitted. So the public hearing is closed at 6:49 p.m. On to item number 8A3, approve the 0.193423 cents as the 2024 maintenance and operation rate for the city of Garden Ridge. Council, any discussion or a motion? Can I get a motion if there's no discussion?
I got it. I move that we approve the, this is for the other one, though. Yeah, that's for the last one. So I'm just going to read it as it says in here. Approve the 0.193423 as the 2024 maintenance and operation rate for the city of Garden Ridge.
We have a motion to approve the 2024 maintenance operation rate for the city of Garden Ridge of .193423 Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. On to item number 8A4, approve the .061733 as the 2024 debt service rate for the city of Garden Ridge. Council, any discussion regarding this prior to a motion? If there's no discussion, can I get a motion?
I move to approve the 0.061733 as the 2024 debt service rate for the city of Garden Ridge.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, on to item number 5. Take action on ordinance number 242-09-2024, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Garden Ridge, Texas, adopting a tax rate of .255156 per $100, consisting of the approved maintenance and operation rate and debt service rate of assessed valuation for the City of Garden Ridge to be effective for the 2024 tax year, fiscal year 2025. All right, council, any discussion on this? And this will be a roll call vote once a motion is stated and seconded, but any discussion to begin with? Okay, if there's no further discussion, Todd, I heard you. Motion?
Okay. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of .0255156, which is effectively a 0.3028% increase in the tax rate, and that ordinance number 242-09-2024 is approved to adopt 0.255156 as the 2024 tax rate for the city of Garden Ridge.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, this will be a roll call vote. Kelly?
Aye.
Lisa?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Todd?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes. And with that, budget season is complete. And look at the smile on Robin's face. Okay. Outstanding. Moving on to 8B, Texas Municipal League Intergovernmental Risk Pool Board of Trustees election. Council, if you remember, this is the discussion item that Lisa was most interested in, but decided not to put her name on the ballot. We do have a recommendation from the Northeast Partnership, and the recommendation is for place 11, Randy Criswell. For place 12, Allison Hayward from the city of Schertz. Place 13, Harlan Jefferson. And place 14, running unopposed, is Mike Land. So, council, any discussion on those individuals or NEP's recommendation?
I agree with all of them.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, could I get a motion to approve the names listed for those places, Kelly? And we probably need to go through and say place 11 with the individual and et cetera.
I'm going to botch this one here. Motion to approve recommendations for the, what do we call it again? TML. Oh, yeah. TML Intergovernmental Risk Pool Board of Trustees election, starting with place 11, recommendation for Randy Criswell. Place 12, Allison Hayward. Place 13, Harlan Jefferson. And place 14, unopposed, Mike Land.
Okay, council, we have a motion to approve with those individuals for those places. Do we have a second? Motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? We'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. Okay, moving on to item number 8C, selection of executive recruitment services and related communications. Received emails from representatives from Clear Career Professionals and Lunt Consulting LLC. Both of these companies were among the 4 we considered for our executive recruitment endeavor during last month's regular council meeting on the executive recruitment process to find a new city manager for the city of Garden Ridge. As the mayor, I certainly didn't mean to misrepresent either company with respect to their proposals. I apologize if my words or anyone else's words spoken from the dais caused hurt feelings. I am certain that both companies are outstanding in the executive recruiting business, and we wish them nothing but the best in their future endeavors. Moving on to the update, you all should have received an email last week from Jay Singleton. He is our point of contact and our principal advisor from SGR. And he wanted to know your availability for a one-on-one conversational meeting with him to discuss your thoughts on who and what type of individual we are looking for to replace Nancy Kane, our city manager, when she retires in March. We are also compiling as a city all of the required documents and pictures SGR has requested to begin this process. Jay is going to talk to you about a vision for the city of Garden Ridge and goals that you have as council members moving forward for the city. So I'll start on my left. Any questions or comments, Todd?
Yeah, I looked at those emails that we got from them, and I can understand their disappointment at not being selected. But in anything like this, I mean, this was a job interview, for lack of a better way to put it in my mind. And the one company definitely left a better impression. Just with the information I got that they provided to us left a better impression, and I thought that's why we went to that. You know, on top of that, we need to get going. I mean, we already asked Nancy if she could extend once. I don't think she's willing to stay until like July of 2028 or anything. And she deserves to retire, so we really need to get moving forward on this. Like I said, again, I can understand their disappointment. I don't think we said or did anything that was really derogatory. It was our impressions and what we thought, and I believe we're allowed to do that.
Thanks, Todd. Jesse?
Yeah, when I saw those letters, I went back and looked at the summary of the 4 companies, and that's really all I looked at when we discussed it. I didn't really go in, and I apologize for not really spending the time to go through all the different details, and I was counting on you, Rob, and staff to separate those information, so that's what I used for information to decide. So I apologize for not going through it the same way, to go into the details. I just failed to do that. So I take part of the blame, too.
Lisa?
So a few years ago, we adopted a code of ethics. We adopted that code of ethics because of some unethical and unprofessional behavior that had been going on. And I do think that having looked at the proposals and read them and seen some of the email exchanges, that 2 of these proposals were misrepresented. And I think that as council people, that we are stewards of the taxpayers' money. And we, again, I voted against this, and I did question at the time about limited services. Y'all know I'm a researchaholic, so I looked at everything thoroughly, and I didn't see anything that was offered limited services with the other two. As a matter of fact, Lunt Consulting sent a video proposal that should have been shared with us, frankly, that you couldn't have watched that and come to the conclusion that it was limited services. As well, I understand there was a lack of communication with the fourth group. All this to say, I mean, they did request a public apology, and they did request that the record was corrected. They do offer full services, both of them.
Okay, thank you. Kelly?
Yeah, after reading the emails, it was concerning. On one hand, I mean, we knew that SGR came highly recommended, the option one. The other three we were given, it was maybe 3 days, we had maybe had 3 days notice, and I wish, 2, okay. 2 days notice, I wish we kind of would have had more opportunity to review those and actually look through them thoroughly. So all I did was depend on the summary, the chart that we were given. So I publicly apologize to those companies as well.
Okay. I know that, Jesse, you and I have meetings with Jay from SGR later this week.
Mine was changed to Monday.
Okay.
Mine's Friday.
So you and I have
Friday at
Friday,
11.
and I encourage everybody else to find the time, obviously, to reach out and schedule a time with Jay. Okay. Moving on to item number 9, updates, city council projects. 9A1, aggregate production operations impacting Garden Ridge. Lisa?
So I got 2 of the 3 EPA monitors installed, one at the Bracken Church, another one in Regency Oaks. And I'm probably going to move that Regency Oaks one to Trophy Oaks, I think. I had met with a couple of people that educated me on windrows data and where they should be placed. And after that meeting, they sent a map with some more clear pinpoints, so I might be moving those around. Had a Zoom call with TCEQ about air permitting. There's a good chance that because this is an expansion, that they're not going to have to file for a new air permit. But that's kind of still up in the air. We won't know that until we know what they're doing, and there's no master plan available to anybody on what these quarries are going to do. I do question, and I need to get with Cynthia about it, how the laws apply when a quarry is half in a city and then half in a county, how we look at the city rules that we have in place and determine what's going on when when we don't have access to the quarry. So need to figure that out. And I have heard that there's been a crane out there and some lights on at night. So again, not sure what they're doing. I've got somebody who's reaching out to David Perkins, who is their intergovernmental relations director. So hopefully we'll get some answers there.
Thank you. Todd, anything? How often do we get the air quality data?
It's continuous.
Do you get?
Yeah, you can go to purpleair.com, map@purpleair.com.
Okay.
Or go to purpleair.com and then you can look at that. I think it's map.purpleair.com. But yeah, it runs all day long.
Have you noticed anything?
I haven't looked at the last
Okay.
days, so.
It'd be interesting to see. On to mitigation of growth and encroachment impacts on Garden Ridge. I don't have anything for this month. Lisa, do you have anything?
I do have just a couple things. Just reached out to Scott Hogg about 2 different issues. There is a resident in Wild Wind that has some concerns about a tank behind her house and some standing water and some debris. that's likely from Gardenville. That property is owned by the gun range, but they lease it out to Gardenville. So he was going to look into that, see if there's anything that, they could do. She doesn't know what's in the tank, so she has some concerns. And I haven't checked this week to see if it was corrected. It's been a month and a half. I reached out to Scott Hogg at the request of a citizen about the driveway to nowhere on 3009. That being a hazard at night. People could think that is the turn onto Schoenthal, and it's really just a drop. It drops right off. So he got with Will Lockett, and there were supposed to be the big barricades put up, and it had not happened. So I checked in with him last week, and he sent a text to Will Lockett. Again, I haven't looked this week to see if it's been done. I haven't been down that way.
Thank you. Great work. Economic development. Kelly and Lisa, go.
We got lots of stuff on this one, starting with our meeting with Wes Peoples. Wes Peoples Homes, as we mentioned last time, he's one of the builders out in Town Creek. We had him come to Garden Ridge. We gave him a tour of the city, and we had him sit with some of our citizens and talk about Garden Homes aging in place options. Our citizens provided a lot of great feedback. And then we had him meet with another developer. We were hoping to get him to meet with another landowner. We were hoping to hook him up with two, but we couldn't get a hold of the second one. Since then, we have made the connection between Mr. Peoples and a property that he's potentially interested in. So I think all of that went really well. Yes, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I think that was a great meeting. I have also reached out to Greater San Antonio, which is a development group, real estate councils of both Austin and San Antonio. And we had a kind of a brainstorming meeting with Scott Wayman. He's EDC director in Schertz, and he gave us some ideas. Also reached out to a company he recommended called the Retail Coach, and their job is to recruit retailers and developers. They do analysis of what might be possible on 2252, what the profile of companies that might be interested there, developers, and they go out and recruit them. It's a year-long process. It's pretty pricey. We need to get some more. There's a couple other retail strategies and one other one that I need to look into. But, we had budgeted some money for something like this. I mean, Kelly and I are doing the best we can, but our reach is very, very small, very short. Also looking at some training for council, on tax incentives, what kind of things that we could do, in the city to incentivize our developers, whether that's tax abatements or grants, any kinds of things. And we've got one proposal, looking for another one from our law firm, and I sent a message to Texas TDEC. Is that the right one? Texas Development Economic Council? Anyway, one of the group associations that puts on all kinds of workshops and things, so.
Great work. Kelly, anything to add?
Yeah, it's just, our citizens that we met with, they really expressed their love for Garden Ridge, and, they're like, we don't want to leave. We don't want to leave here, but right now we have nothing to offer to keep them here. And so I think this is something very important we need to move forward with. And I noticed that. I was looking at some of the numbers on that, and it does kind of coincide with some of our marketing budget for 2025. So, spinning off the incentive things, I mean, that's, if you ask any economic development director, you've got to somehow bring incentives and offer incentives. And, the brewery we were talking with early on, a year or so ago, the first question they ask is, what do you have for us, right? So, and the hard part is you've got to bring in, we've got to bring in more sales tax so we can offer more incentives. So you got to find this balance, and we've got to pull in, we want to pull in nice things here at Garden Ridge that pull sales tax. So that's tough. And at those corners, you gotta pull anchors to feed that retail. And so we've got to figure out what we want that to be. So, other than that, that's all I have today. And great job, Lisa. She did a ton of investigating and digging up, so great job.
Thank you both for all your hard work. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina over the weekend, and there were some places there that have exactly what the two of you were talking about for our residents to be able to age in place, if you will, and not to leave Garden Ridge, that were amazing developments and bringing a lot of money into the community, and they were very high-end, very nice. So it's definitely a need out there, and keep on going. Thanks. Jesse, anything for water company and utilities?
Yeah, I want to embarrass Michelle here a little bit. Just a big shout out to Michelle. She made a presentation to the Water Commission last month about her ongoing efforts with the AMI system, and just wanted to share that with council. I asked her to do it, but since she was here, but she asked me to continue with it. So anyway, Michelle pointed out that we're at about 50% of our customers are on AMI portal, 852, which is high. National average is like 20%. The people that are really in the portal. I'd like to see 100 personally, because that really help a lot with the process. But anyway, 50%, we're doing real good. And Michelle's, I mean, it's increased quite a bit in the last year. I think, over 100 or 150 in the last year, increase in sign up. She monitors the leaks now that she's in this new role, and to help avoid water loss adjustments. And she looks at the dashboards on a daily basis, and from there makes contacts with the residents and the property owners and all that to avoid, and maybe work with the technicians to avoid leaks. But looking back at just leak adjustments. So back in 2019 is when council approved, again, going back to providing leak adjustments. So 2019 and 2020, the total for those 2 years in credits was almost 32,000. That's 15,000, almost 16,000 a year, for those 2 years. In early 21 was when we installed the AMI meters. So for 21, 22, and 23, the average has been down to 5,000 a year in credits, considerably down. But this year, only 721 year-to-date in credits. Can you believe that? None of them come. So it's great work, and I just want to, proud to have Michelle on the team now and helping us out with the AMI system. So thank you.
Great words, Jesse and Michelle. Thank you so much. Great work. On to Comal ISD. Todd.
Other than school's back in session, I don't have anything to add. At least not for this portion of Comal ISD. I may mention something here in a minute when we get to the other portion.
Great, obviously, and you can see that Brian is joining you on that. Yeah. Okay, outstanding. All right, that concludes item number 9 for updates. Item number 10, discussion of future agenda items. Anybody have anything they want to see on next month's agenda in particular? Okay, moving on to item number 11, citizen comment period. You're not required to have signed up, but please see the city secretary after speaking. 1 2-minute period, and again, we can't comment, but we are listening and taking notes. Any takers? Okay, no takers. Sharon? All right. Moving on to item number 12, reports and comments from mayor and city council members. Anybody have anything they want to mention with everything listed?
Okay, now I'll go with Comal ISD because this isn't really liaison to the ISD. School's back in session. The new scoreboard is in place at Davenport High School. It's fantastic. It was funded by the Wolves Athletic Booster Club, so it is not your tax dollars being wasted. The Wolves Athletic Booster Club funded it, and they're selling advertising space on it, and it looks wonderful. It doesn't bring us up in par with some of the ridiculous stadiums we've got around the state of Texas, but it brings it up pretty nice. To folks that are out there, if you haven't gone to Davenport High School, there is so much stuff going on at that high school, whether it's girls volleyball, who were the state champions last year, and ranked very highly again this year, to the football team who went to the state semifinals last year and are rated number 6 in the state of Texas for 4A football. Come out and check the high school out. There's a lot of good stuff going on. It's a lot of fun. So Friday nights, unfortunately this Friday we're up at Kerrville-Tivy. I say we because I have a son playing football. The week after that, we're back home against Piper. I'd like to encourage folks to come out. It's just a fun environment. It's a ball. So, and it's fun for everybody, I think, not just parents.
Go Wolves. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Go.
AMPO, so the Transportation Policy Board went ahead and approved the MPO expansion of, include all of Kendall County and partial of Medina County. The TAC team now has to make some membership changes to add more members to it. Fortunately, again, NEP was spared from, was still allowed to be on the team, which was great that we were able to do that. Also, AMPO is going out for bids to qualified firms to develop a railroad crossing study for Comal County. And myself, along with Tom Horsett, the county, Comal County Administrator, Gary Ford, the New Braunfels City Engineer, and Scott Wayman, Sharts EDC, have been asked to participate in the initial selection committee for that firms, and then we're going to serve as the transition into the oversight committee for the work done. So we only have a few railroads crossings here in Garden Ridge, but anyway, we're representing the whole county. The TxDOT expansion of 2252 is going well. As you see, probably see pillars going up for the railroad crossing. Will mentioned last month that expects to see some beams installed later this month for that, so progressing well. And car show, about 6.5 weeks away for Garden Ridge Car Show. Information in the Grapevine.
Thanks, Jesse. Outstanding. Lisa, anything? Kelly?
Yes, sir. All right. Spinning off of what Lisa was talking about earlier, Purple Air, just for everybody out there, it is map.purpleair.com if they want to track. All right, so quick chamber updates. So had a successful mixer last week. I was not able to attend, but thank you, Jesse, and for dragging Linda along. I heard you guys had a pretty good time. And thank you for representing us last week. I totally appreciate it. So some upcoming events, luncheon next Tuesday, at Olympia Hills, sponsored by Be Social, and a presentation by one of our Garden Ridge's very own, Tracy Blackwell. She always has some great presentations. She's a great speaker. So ribbon cutting at Fajitas and Margaritas, which is at Bluebonnet Palace. So this Friday at 4 to 6. And so we are all invited, of course, as a city partner. Mixer September 26th at Gather Brewing in Universal City. And our second annual Glow Golf Tournament. So if we have any golfers out there, that they're doing a night golf. And I can say during the day I lost a lot of balls, and at night I lost even more, so, in my mind. Last quarter luncheons, October, November, and December, will be here in the lovely city of Garden Ridge at our newly painted and new floor, newly renovated community center. Can't wait to see that. And that's it. That's all I have for chamber.
Thank you, Kelly. All I have is for Northeast Partnership. Our next luncheon is a week from tomorrow. So we have, speaking of railroads, the guy that schedules all the railroad crossings and times and trains and whatnot coming to speak. So should be interesting. It's going to be one of the things before I give him the NEP prize. I'll say, hey, can you stop that? Okay, great. That concludes item number 12. 13, executive session. The city council will recess its open meeting and reconvene in closed session. 13A, pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.0711, pending and contemplated litigation, and 551.071, 2, consultation with city attorney on the following items. 1, petition for declaratory judgment, Eric Fisher versus the city of Garden Ridge, cause number C 2024-1164 Bravo, and 2, Notice of claim letter pursuant to Texas Tort Claims Act, Craig Dillard versus City of Garden Ridge, cause number C 2024-1193 Echo. We will reconvene in closed session. Does 10 minutes work at 7:30 behind us? We'll reconvene at 7:30 behind us. And we are in recess. Thanks. Okay, the city council will reconvene in a regular session at 7:39 PM. There is nothing to bring forward from executive session for action, so we'll move on to item number 15, adjournment. There being no further business, the city council regular meeting is adjourned at 7:39 PM. Thanks, council.